Hey y'all, welcome to Fish and Cheese, and today what we have for you is another exciting video on how to set up your router settings. This particular router is the Linksys MR7350. This router is a mesh router that you can add other nodes to, but we'll get into that in a little bit. But first, let's get started. So the first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to log into either the Linksys Smart Wi-Fi app or log into linksysmartwifi.com and go ahead and create an account. When you create your account, it's going to have you link your current, the router that you have. It's going to have you link that router. And once you link that router, it'll look like this. All right. First things first, as you can see, the firmware update available icon popped up that we can click on update. So you can update the firmware on this device via an active Ethernet or an internet connection, or you can update this router via the USB device down here under external storage. And what you do is you just load the firmware that you downloaded from the official Linksys website onto a USB thumb drive, and then you would plug that into the back of the router, and then it would pop up right here, and you can go ahead and install that firmware. All right. So first things first, as you can see, your network status is here. When you see everything is connected, that means you are good to go and there's no issues with your connection as far as being able to access the internet. All right, here's our Wi-Fi settings. The Wi-Fi settings does have some information like the password when you click on it. This is a great way for you to come and just get the password really quickly for anyone who's a guest or if you just forget yourself. All right. This device list shows how many devices are currently attached to your router. I have 2 currently attached. Then this is the guest network. The guest network is a great way to allow visitors to your company, your business, or your home, whatever it is, to access the internet without being attached, to any kind of admin rights on your device or on your connection, your network. All right. So we'll go over some more guest access stuff here in a bit. Then there's parental controls and priority down here. And these are just quick links. That's all these are, quick links. All right. They're quick links to the lists over here on the left side. So this is your device list, which is this. Your guest access, which is here. But when you click on guest access, it pops open this little, the little window. Here you can hit edit. You can change the guest Wi-Fi name and the guest Wi-Fi's password here, or turn off and turn on the guest access network. All right, so I'm gonna just turn mine off. We'll do that later. All right, so then you got parental controls. Parental controls, when enabled, will allow you to. So let's say I wanted to enable parental controls for my device that's connected called desktop. Right here, I can block internet access, never, always, or during specified times. This is great for any device or any person that you do not want to access the internet after a certain time, such as like bedtimes or any kind of timeouts or punishments and things like that. You can also, right here, add particular sites that you want blocked. So if you want internet access to be available, but during a certain hour you only want your kids to be able to access learning websites and nothing else, you can block YouTube, you can block Twitch and all kinds of websites for a specified amount of time for a certain device during the day. So during school hours, you can block websites so that way they can only access educational material. All right. Priority is where you'd come. Go ahead and hit enable. Priority is where you come to enable devices to get the most of your bandwidth. For example, here's my desktop. If I drag this up to high priority, right now this device is going to be prioritized for its bandwidth over the other 2 devices that are connected to my router. As you can see, it also gives you your current network speeds. Mine is 94 down, 95 up, which is great, seeing as I'm only paying for about 100 up and down. So that's great. I'm going to take this back down there. I would really say prioritize any device that's going to require more bandwidth. So video game consoles, computers where you're streaming to places like Twitch, or even things like Fire TV sticks or Fire TVs where you need more bandwidth to stream higher quality videos like 4K. This is the speed check. It's just a built-in speed check. You can hit start speed check and it'll update these numbers and give you a more up-to-date speed check. That way you can always kind of keep an eye on what your connection is looking like. Again, the external storage, same as over here. Connectivity. This is in more of the advanced settings. So in connectivity, here's where you would go to change your admin password, which is what you use to log in to this web page here or the app. You can also do your firmware update here. It'll give you updates on what's available. Then this is obviously your router's time. It should be automatically adjusted. Internet settings. This is for your IPv and IPv6 internet connection type. Right here, it's automatically configured for DHCP. You can alter that if you'd like. Here under the optional, this is just some other settings that you can go and change it if you'd like to. Advice for all these settings: please Google and research what each particular setting does. Some of the settings are very, they're rarely used. So I'm only going to go over some of the more popular or settings that I feel are needed by more people, especially like gamers, people who stream a lot, things like that. All right. So this is your local network tab, which is giving you your router details. It just gives you some basic information for your router, your DHCP server setup. Advanced routing allows you to enable or disable NAT type, NAT and dynamic routing, and you can also even add a static route here. Under administration, you see your local management access. Here, Universal Plug and Play is enabled. Universal Plug and Play allows you to connect more devices to your router with as few issues as possible. You can turn this off if you'd like, but some of your older devices might have issues connecting. All right. Here's your remote access. This just allows you to remote into your router if you want to. Me personally, I disable this. It's just a safety concern of mine. All right. Go over to troubleshooting. Troubleshooting is a great tab for anyone who's a little bit more in depth with their router settings tweaking. This will allow you to check the status, get the diagnostics, and also logs from your router. This is great to use to share with other people on forums and things like that when you're trying to find finer tuned help, especially when it comes to like setting up a VPN, things like that. Your troubleshooting tabs are going to be your best friend. All right, Wi-Fi settings. So here's where you would set up your Wi-Fi settings. So you can come in here and change your Wi-Fi SSID, which is the name that broadcasts for your Wi-Fi. You can also change the Wi-Fi password. You can change the security mode. The security does go up to WPA3 personal, but you can set it to either 2 or a mix of 2 and 3, or even open for those who live in a little bit more on the dangerous side. All right, Wi-Fi mode is mixed. You can hit show more, and show more would enable the settings for 2.4 and 5 gigahertz band to be edited separately. Now, this is a great feature and something that not every router has. And the reason why it's such a great feature is because now I can come in here and I can change my 5G band to a different name, different password, different security mode, and a different Wi-Fi mode, right? This will allow me to say, okay, listen, every device that I have that's a 5G device, I want it to connect to the 5G band by itself because I do not need the slower band bandwidth. Now, for certain devices, especially devices like a door ring bell camera, things like that, you will need a 2.4 gigahertz band enabled. So this will also allow you to then change the name of your 2.4 gigahertz band and identify which one to connect to for those devices. You have your MAC filtering options here. When enabled, MAC filtering will allow you to create a MAC filter list here, and you just add the MAC address that you want to add to the list. And then right here are your filtering options. Here you can deny access for the listed MAC addresses, or you can click here to allow access for only the listed MAC addresses. This is a great security feature for anyone who's a little bit more on the I want to secure everything on the internet lane. This will allow only devices with the MAC address listed here, which would be something that you're adding, to connect to your router and the internet, right? So if you live in a public space like an apartment complex or anything like that, this would be a great feature to add, just to kind of add extra security to your Wi-Fi network. Here you have WPS, or Wi-Fi protected setup. This is the instant quote-unquote connection method for connecting to Wi-Fi. It's a button that you press on the back of the device that allows you to then connect pretty much any device to it very quickly, right? You can also click on this button to do the same thing as the button on the back of the device. Here is the router's pin, and then here is the device pin, right? And you can play with these settings if you want. Me personally, I always turn off WPS because to me, again, it's just a security thing. I turn this on. All right, under advanced, you have settings like airtime fairness, node steering, and client steering. So any airtime fairness basically just allows you to kind of reduce the speeds of anyone that's causing a traffic jam on your device. So any of your slower devices that's causing other devices to lag because of it, it will reduce their overall network speed to kind of balance things out and make sure that your devices that are needing the most aren't being starved. Client steering. Client steering let your network detect your wireless devices to the node which has got the strongest signal. So basically, this will allow your router to determine which node is closer to your client, i.e. your phone or your desktop or whatever you're using, to figure out what's going to be the strongest signal. All right. Now, when it says node, the nodes in a mesh system are basically just Wi-Fi extenders. Right now, with this particular mesh Wi-Fi router, you can add nodes to it. So it's great for places that have poor Wi-Fi signal, or if you have a massive property that needs extended coverage, or you have a basement or just multiple floors. Adding nodes will definitely make sure that all of your devices are able to get the strongest signal possible. Then that takes us into this, which is node steering. And node steering just basically allows the node to always connect to the strongest node. So if you have your main router and then you have 3 nodes, let's say the third node is connected to the second node, right? You can take the third node and connect it to the first node or the router if it's closer, or you can turn on node steering, which will automatically do that for you if a device goes offline, or if for whatever reason that particular node signal becomes too weak, it'll automatically switch and connect to the nearest node for the strongest signal. All right. Security. So with security, you have the firewall tab, which just has your IPv4, IPv6, firewall, enable or disable, your VPN pass-throughs here, and then different internet filters. You can also come down here and add an IPv6 firewall setting if you'd like. Again, please Google and familiarize yourself with these terms and what each one of these settings do before you change anything, just to make sure you're protected at all times on the internet. DMZ. DMZ basically allows for one device or a range of devices to use the router and the internet without any of the protection features such as the firewall. When you enable DMZ mode and then you specify a particular IP address, so let's say my Xbox is on 192.168.0.5, right? Now my Xbox is going to be in DMZ mode, which means that it's not going to have any of the protection of this router enabled on it. That's going to allow for a faster connection and a more seamless connection. All of the ports are going to be already open, and I won't have to worry about doing any port forwarding or anything like that to make sure my NAT type is open and the Xbox is getting the fastest Wi-Fi or Ethernet signals possible. Now, again, I do not recommend turning on DMZ mode just for security purposes. But if you happen to live in a more remote area, or you know what you're doing and you have other firewalls and protection settings on that particular device, by all means, have fun and do what you do. The Xbox, just so you know, does not, that I'm aware of, have very strong firewall or internet security features. So in my opinion, I would not put anything like that on here. But a computer, for example, you can add all types of firewalls, VPNs, and things like that on your PC. So having DMZ might actually come in handy because then it won't interfere with the firewall settings you have on that device. All right, apps and gaming, right? So DDNS, you can select your provider here, single port forwarding, port range forwarding, and then port range triggering. All right, real quick, single port forwarding basically just allows you to add a port for whatever device you're looking for, right? So let's say my Xbox needs port 2074 enabled on the UDP protocol, right? So again, let's add the IP address for my device, which is my Xbox, right here. And then you hit save, and boom, now that port is open for my Xbox. The great thing about this router is that you can add multiple ports at one go. So you can do Xbox, add the ports, add the protocol, do the IP address, hit save all the way down the line. The reason why that's something that I called out is because most routers I've worked with, you can only add one port at a time before you have to basically do like a soft restart of the router, which doesn't reset the router, it just causes your page to reload. Port range forwarding is pretty much the same thing, except for instead of you doing port to port, you're doing a range of the port. So you can say, I want to open 2074 all the way to 2089, and I want to do it for both TCP and UDP protocols, right? And again, I'm gonna do my Xbox. All right, then you hit save, and now the ports in between these two numbers will be open, and you are good to go. Same thing for port range triggering. All right, again, please look at all these names on Google what all this stuff means before you come in here and change anything. I know I've mentioned that a few times now, but I just want to make sure you guys are safe online, because as we become better with technology, guess what? So does the hackers. All right. So now once you get all of your different Wi-Fi settings enabled, you'll see them here. Devices connected will be here again. Parental controls will be here. Your guest network access stuff is here. Priority stuff is here. All right, guys. Again, thank you for watching our video. I hope this helped. If you have any questions, need any technical support, please comment down below, and I'll be sure to help you. I know that these videos tend to be kind of long, but I promise you, you'll come back to it. This router setup guide works for other types of routers as well. So if you need help with your router and I haven't done a video for it, again, feel free to leave a comment down below and I will specifically help you. All right, I got you. All right, guys. Till next time.